Oh, Edmonton leaked the Bruce Cassidy stuff. Okay. We're supposed to believe you now? We're supposed to believe you? You and your LTIRs? Get
Ryder!
Well, I'm done with the Knights. That felt good.
Sometimes it feels good.
Oh,
to
yeah,
swear.
he's injured until the last game of the season. Like, you, real trustworthy bunch over there. Saying he's okay with this, actually. He's okay with it. And then he jumps on Spit and Chicklets the next day and was like, no, I want to coach. I'm not okay with this.
Can I talk to someone?
Yeah, all right, McCrimmon.
The funniest part of it is that his quote is, it's only news because Edmonton leaked it. It's only news because nobody's ever done this before.
Exactly.
Like, I can't get over this whole thing of like, hey, not me, not our guy. Hey, I'm not doing this.
It's gross.
It's insane.
What if the best coach available for your team was sitting at home, ready to work, desperate to work, and there was absolutely nothing you could do about it? That's exactly where Edmonton is right now. And it's worse than it sounds. Think about this for a second. You are one of the most storied franchises in NHL history. You have the best player in the world on your roster. You just got eliminated in the first round by a team nobody expected, and your entire championship window, everything you've built, everything McDavid has sacrificed for, is quietly bleeding out. 2 years. That's all you've got left before the whole equation changes. 2 years to get this right. And the guy you want, the guy with the ring, the guy with the track record, the guy who fixes exactly the problems that just ended your season, he's out there. He's available. He wants the job. He said it publicly. He's sitting by the phone. But you can't call him. Not because he doesn't want to talk. Not because he has another offer. But because a rival general manager in the same division looked at Edmonton's desperation, looked at the clock ticking on McDavid's contract, looked at everything that's on the line, and decided the most powerful move he could make wasn't signing a player or trading for a prospect. It was doing absolutely nothing. This is the Bruce Cassidy situation. And if you think it's just a coaching dispute, you're missing the bigger picture entirely. This is about leverage, rivalry, and a franchise that might be running out of time faster than anyone wants to admit. Let's set the scene properly. The Oilers just got bounced in the first round of the playoffs by the Anaheim Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks, a team that wasn't supposed to be anywhere near this conversation. And now Edmonton is scrambling. Coaching staff gone, front office under a microscope, and Connor McDavid sitting there with only 2 years left on his deal, watching the clock tick louder than it ever has before. So what do you do in that situation? You go find the best available coach. You don't hesitate, you don't overthink it, you make the call and you get your guy. And right now, the best available coach, at least on paper, is Bruce Cassidy. Stanley Cup winner. Known for building tight, suffocating defensive structures. Known for holding players accountable regardless of their salary or their reputation. Exactly the kind of guy Edmonton desperately needs after the kind of playoff performance they just put together. There's just one enormous problem. Vegas won't let Edmonton talk to him. Here's how this works in the NHL because it matters. When a team fires a coach but that coach still has years remaining on his contract, he doesn't just walk out the door and start taking interviews. He belongs to the organization until they either release him outright or grant another team permission to speak with him. Vegas fired Cassidy on March 29th. But his contract runs through the 2026 to 27 season. Which means Kelly McCrimmon and the Golden Knights hold every single card in this situation. And right now, they are not playing a single one in Edmonton's favor. 2 teams reached out to Vegas requesting permission to interview Cassidy. Both were denied. And for a while, that was just business as usual. Uncomfortable, sure. Frustrating, absolutely. But teams block coaches all the time. It's part of the game. What made this explode into a full-blown public controversy was what happened next. McCrimmon went on TSN's Overdrive and made something very clear. He does not believe Vegas is the reason any of this became a news story. According to him, the only reason this situation went public at all is because someone on Edmonton's side started talking. He said it plainly, this isn't something that came out of his organization. They were forced to respond to it. And then he made sure everyone understood where the information trail started. And it wasn't from his building. Now stop and think about what that actually means if you're sitting inside Edmonton's front office right now. You're already managing the fallout from a brutal first-round exit. You're already navigating the McDavid situation behind closed doors. And now the general manager of the team blocking your top coaching candidate is going on national radio, essentially telling the entire hockey world that your organization has a leak problem and can't run a quiet off-season process without turning it into a three-ring circus. That is a brutal place to be. That is embarrassing. And it adds a whole other layer of dysfunction to a situation that was already messy enough. But McCrimmon wasn't finished. He described his ongoing relationship with Cassidy in a way that made one thing crystal clear. This isn't a situation where Vegas has gone silent and everyone is just waiting. McCrimmon said he'd spoken to Cassidy as recently as the day before the interview. He acknowledged that Cassidy wants to coach. He called him a hell of a coach. He said he's anxious to get back to work. And then, almost in the same breath, he made it equally clear, Vegas is not changing its position. Not now. Not while the playoffs are still going. If Edmonton is sitting by the phone waiting for McCrimmon to call and say Cassidy is free to meet, that call is not coming anytime soon. And here's where it gets even more layered. Because Cassidy himself went public. He sat down on the Spit and Chiclets podcast and he did not hold back. He said the situation is upsetting. He confirmed that two teams had reached out to Vegas asking to speak with him. He said it's public knowledge at this point, so there's no point pretending otherwise. And then he said something that really cut through all the noise. He said he just wants to go to work. He's a hockey coach. That is what he is. And right now he is sitting there, under contract to a team that doesn't want him behind their bench anymore, watching opportunities potentially pass him by with no power to do anything about it. The NHL Coaches Association stepped in and called the whole situation unprecedented. Let that land for a moment. Unprecedented. In a league that has seen every kind of front office chess match imaginable, the people who represent coaches for a living looked at this and said they had never seen anything quite like it. The league itself hasn't stepped in with any ruling, which means Vegas is completely within its rights to keep doing exactly what it's doing, for as long as it wants to do it. So why would Vegas even bother? Why hold on to a coach you just fired and clearly don't want anymore? Why absorb the public criticism, the association pushback, the bad press? The answer is cold and calculated and completely understandable once you see it clearly. The Golden Knights are not going to hand a division rival one of the best coaches in the game. Full stop. Cassidy doesn't just have a Stanley Cup ring collecting dust on a shelf somewhere. He has a specific, identifiable skill set that would directly address Edmonton's most glaring weaknesses. Structured defensive play, a culture of accountability, tactical discipline under playoff pressure. The Oilers under Chris Knobloch struggled badly in all three of those areas during their series against Anaheim. Letting Cassidy walk into that situation and surgically fix those exact problems. Vegas wants absolutely no part of that outcome. There's also something deeper worth sitting with here. If McCrimmon eventually blinks, releases Cassidy, and the Oilers suddenly transform into a legitimate Stanley Cup contender because of it, he has to live with that decision inside the same division for potentially the next several years. These two franchises already have history. The rivalry already has real teeth. Giving Edmonton a coaching upgrade of this magnitude isn't just a favor. It could be the move that defines the Pacific Division power structure for the better part of a decade. McCrimmon knows that. That's exactly why he's sitting on his hands and not apologizing for it. And for Edmonton, the pressure only compounds with every week that passes. McDavid has not made any sweeping public commitment to staying long-term. He's watching. The whole league is watching. Every day that goes by without a head coach in place is another day of visible uncertainty. Another signal to McDavid and everyone in that locker room that things are not under control. A franchise chasing a championship with a shrinking window does not have the luxury of patience. And yet patience is precisely what Vegas is forcing them to exercise. The Oilers do have other options. There are other coaches available. There are other candidates who could walk through the door and make a compelling case. But when your fan base and your franchise player both know that your first choice is sitting across the division in a contractual holding pattern, and that you couldn't even keep the process quiet, settling for someone else carries its own cost. It sends a message. And in a situation this delicate, messages matter more than people realize. What happens next is genuinely uncertain. If Vegas holds firm through the end of the playoffs, Edmonton may have no choice but to pivot entirely. They move on, find someone who generates excitement for different reasons, and try to make it work. Or Vegas quietly decides that the reputational damage of holding Cassidy isn't worth the competitive advantage it gains and grants permission for an interview. McCrimmon's public comments suggest that second outcome isn't happening soon, but these situations have a way of shifting once the playoff noise fades and the real off-season conversations begin behind closed doors. What is not uncertain is what's at stake. This isn't a rebuilding team trying to find direction. This isn't a franchise buying time. This is Edmonton. McDavid era. 2 years left. A fan base that came within reach of ending a decades-long championship drought and got sent home early by a team they had no business losing to. Every single decision from this point forward carries enormous weight, and the first major decision of the summer is being made for them by a rival general manager who has every right and every reason to make their lives as difficult as possible. The clock is running in Edmonton. The window is open, but it is not wide. And right now, the Oilers don't control it. Kelly McCrimmon does.